fantasy baseball fanatics. How you doing? Today is Sunday, April 3rd. Well, welcome to the show. This is episode number 10. Today we're going to be talking post-draft, like what you do after your drafts. You know, I'm Dominic Martino, host. Here, my co-host as always, Matthew Arnay. Matt, how you doing today, champ?
I'm doing pretty good. Feel like, that word champ kind of fits me this year. I had a really good draft this weekend, and baseball's this Thursday. I'm doing fantastic.
Yeah. Opening day, Thursday, April 7th. We're excited. Yeah. As I mentioned at the top, we're going to be talking what to do post-draft. So we're calling this our post-draft episode. So, everyone's, most drafted weekend of the year for fantasy baseball this past weekend. So everyone's got their team set. You need some advice, sit down, have a beer like Matt, listen to the show. But to start things off, we're going to be talking news. Two big players, making their opening day roster. We'll start with the not so big one. We'll start with the secondary one. Then I'll pass it to Matt to do the next one. So Spencer Torkelson has made the Detroit Tigers roster. It's awesome for them, awesome for him. Would have loved, to see Riley Green make it too, but he got hurt, so it doesn't look like he's going to make the team. But Torkelson looks like he's going to play, I believe, first base for them. I'm going to read you his spring training stats here. So far, this spring training, Torkelson has. Hold on, I'm sorry, bear with me here. I got to pull up the MLB website. Doesn't want to be my friend here. Matt, thoughts on Torkelson making the team real quick.
So Torkelson's going to be great. I don't know about this year, maybe for fantasy production, because there may be that lull. But I mean, if you haven't drafted yet, you'll probably be able to get him at a decent value. And if you already drafted, whether it was last weekend or this weekend, he may not even be drafted. So he may be sitting on the waiver wires, and you want to go scoop him up.
Oh yeah.
So he's one of those guys. At least you take a flyer on. You like him more than you like one of your guys at the bottom of your bench anyway, that was your lottery ticket. I'd go and scoop him up because the upside on him is a lot more than whoever you got at the bottom of that bench. So
all right, so I got his spring training stats here. So Torkelson, this spring training, it was 12 games. He had 25 at-bats. It was 7 hits, 3 runs, no bombs, 3 RBIs, 1 steal, and he hit 280. 4 strikeouts, 2 walks. The thing with Torkelson, he's supposed to be a big power guy, so I wouldn't be shocked if he gave you maybe 30 home runs. The batting average, I don't know. A lot of guys have had a tough time translating. So I really don't know. I wouldn't expect a huge batting average, but if he hits 250, 260, with 30 home runs in that Detroit lineup, which is looking like it's only going to be better, I would totally put him on the waiver wire if he wasn't drafted in your leagues. If you need a guy that plays first or third, I know on Yahoo he has both eligibilities. So I would say, throw him on the team. If you got that spot at the end, if you weren't happy with one of your last picks, he's got upside, a lot of upside. So Matt, why don't you take over the next one here and give us a nice little rant? Your boy.
My boy Bobby Witt made the team, ladies and gentlemen.
He sure did. Bobby Witt Jr. going to play third base for the Kansas City Royals.
Oh, my God. If I had some kind of soundboard, the amount of noises I'd be making right now. I've been waiting for this since last year when the kid was going off. And you guys know I've been talking about him like a crazy person. So this is huge. This is huge. He's going to start off. He is my number 6 shortstop this year. And like my number 7 third baseman. Now that he made the team. So if you haven't drafted yet, it gives you a perspective of where to draft him, and how high I am on the kid. He's going to be incredible. And I'm sure the ADP is climbing. So what this is going to mean now that he's starting at opening day is there's a fair chance that he's going to get 30 steals, possibly more. There's a great chance he's going to get that power for you. I don't know if he hits 30, but there is a possibility. I think it may be more of the 25 range, possibly 27. But hey, he could be a 30 guy, which is what his upside could be. And I mean, lastly, the batting average is going to be there, and that Kansas City team is looking pretty damn good. So ultimately, I think this is a strong move for him. And hey, scoop him up, baby. Give me them.
Yeah. I'm with Matt in the sense of that he's a must-own player. He's the number 1 prospect in all of baseball. And just to give you guys a glimpse of what he's possible of, this is his spring training numbers. He played in 10 games, 27 at-bats, 9 runs, 11 hits, 3 doubles, 2 bombs, 7 RBIs, a steal, only 3 strikeouts and 2 walks. So you love that strike to walkout ratio, and he hit 407. So kid's a monster. I see him more as like a maybe like a 25 bomb, 30 steal guy. Maybe the power, and he could hit 30. I'm just giving you my projection. I think he's gonna have a lot of runs hitting high in that lineup. I think the RBIs are gonna be pretty good as well. He's probably gonna have what Merrifield's hitting in front of him. Guy gets on base as well. So I think a 5-tool guy. Sky's the limit for him. Let's see what the batting average looks like. If he hits, 270, 275, which, I think he's going to stay around, it's still awesome. Upside is hitting 300. So, he could potentially be a Cedric Mullins type of year that Cedric Mullins had last year, 30-30, hitting, close to 300 and crazy amount of runs. So I wouldn't be shocked if you got, like a Cedric Mullins type of season from him. Once again, that team's going to be great. So, Bobby Witt, make sure, once again, make sure he was drafted in all your leagues. I'm pretty sure he was drafted everywhere, but if he wasn't, number 1 waiver pickup, I would say he's definitely number 1 waiver pickup if he was not drafted in your leagues.
If he wasn't drafted in your leagues, you need to find a new league.
Well said, Matt.
That's the bottom line. Or you amp up the ante fee because you're going to take everybody's money.
And take everyone's money. So guys, Bobby Witt Jr., number 1 prospect in all of baseball, and if you could even trade for him if you like him that much like Matt does. He's going to have a great year. One guy who we're not sure, he's on the fence of making the team. I think he should make the team, and if he doesn't, it's blasphemy, as Stephen A. Smith would say. This is Julio Rodriguez, outfielder of the Seattle Mariners, who is also having a monster spring. I think the sky is the limit for the kid. Last year, he had a great year in the minors. I believe he had 13 bombs and had 21 steals and around 350 at-bats. So, sky is the limit for the kid. Seattle picked up Jesse Winker. They picked up Eugenio Suarez. They got a couple other good bats in the lineup, but Kyle Lewis coming back. I truly think that it could be a breakout year for him if he does. I think him and Bobby Witt is 1A and 1B, Bobby Witt being the 1A, Julio being the 1B. I think they both got the 5 tools, they both got a power speed combo. They both can, going to give you runs and RBIs in their respective lineups that are both pretty good. And, they both hit for a high average in the minors last year. So, Matt, what are your thoughts on Julio, going into the season?
I think he's going to be incredible when he's finally up. I don't think he's making the opening day lineup. So the fact that you see how Hunter Green has already been announced, Bobby Witt has already been announced, and Torkelson, it's not boding well for the fact that he's going to make the team. Now, is it a 2-week hold where they're trying to be that sleazy, organization like they were doing with what's his face last year? Right? They're the one that got caught with their pants down, or was it the Marlins?
I'm not sure who you're talking about, my brother.
Remember the team last year that had that whole scandal? They forced people. They weren't calling guys up for control, and there's a whole lawsuit.
I know what you're talking about, but I don't think it was them. I do know what you're talking about. It was
with Kalenic then.
Oh well, yeah. Well, he didn't make the team. He did have a big, spring training. He didn't make the team. He was a potential to make the team. I hear what you're saying there.
So they kind of held him back on purpose for the control. I can kind of see that happening this time, and it may even be longer. I mean, look. This is the other thing, the other side of the coin. Bobby Witt was kind of ready last year, and he was kind of killing it through all the levels, but he's young. And Julio was killing it last year, but at the same time, there's that possibility where they're just like, hey, we're just going to give him a little bit more time. It may be a Super 2, maybe a cup of coffee, or maybe not at all, and he's just going to open up with the team next year. So there's a lot of avenues. I wouldn't draft him too crazy high. But I mean, if he's sitting on your waivers, I'd scoop him up just with the possibility of seeing if he's going to be going to make the team, because the new contract with the MLB is an incentive to call guys up because they're not really losing the control as much. But again, I'm not seeing it happen.
Yeah. But before we move on, I will say this. We're pretty close to opening day, and a lot of guys have been sent down already. And I think it bodes well to see that he is still there. He did hit a home run today. I'm going to read you his spring training stats so far, because MLB website wants to be, annoying today while I'm trying to do my pod and pull up these stats. And, I finally got it. So including today, he's hitting 419 and 31 at-bats, 3 bombs, 8 RBIs, 3 steals. And I just think it's going to be absolutely crazy if he didn't make the opening day roster at this point. The Seattle looks like they're going to win. They went out and got Robbie Ray. As I said earlier, they went out and got Winker and Suarez. I think they're really trying to make the playoff push, and he would be key in it. If he wasn't drafted, like I said, I'd put him as a top 5 waiver priority pickup. I drafted him pretty high in both of my keeper leagues this weekend. You know, if a keeper league, if he wasn't drafted in a keeper league, that's absolutely crazy. Should have been a high end pick. So once again, like a Bobby Witt, I truly think he's going to be one of the best prospects in baseball, you know, and I think he could take off this year. Matt, go ahead.
So I'm reading an article from 2 days ago, and it sounds like they might be working on an extension, so they might be trying to Ronald Acuna him.
I heard that. I did hear that as well.
So this also could be one of those things, too, where if he chooses not to sign it, they might keep him down. So this is a whole bunch of, you know, what's going to happen. I think if they don't come to a deal by Thursday, he's down. And I think that's why he's still up, because they're still in talks.
It's gonna definitely be interesting with Julio here. I wouldn't, if you haven't drafted yet, I wouldn't overdraft him, as Matt said, but he's definitely somebody who's a high risk, high reward player going into the year. That's enough with the young kids. We're gonna get into some another big trade here. Sean Manaea to the Padres. Looks like Oakland is really like not going for it this year. They sold house. They got rid of everybody. They got rid of Chapman. They got rid of Olsen. Manaea's gone, and I'm sure Frankie Montas is next. They're really moneyballing it this year. It's going to be interesting to see. I'm specifically streaming all my my pitchers against Oakland. They basically have nobody there, so guys, look to capitalize on that. But as for Manaea going to the Padres, he brings himself to one of the best rotations in baseball. I think they're going to win a lot of games, and he could possibly I think he moves up draft boards if you're still drafting, if you haven't drafted yet. It's another big park. I just think it's a good move for Manaea. I think he's going to have a good year. He had a great year last year. Matt, thoughts on Manaea?
So, I mean, the talent is good. He had like a decent year last year.
Yeah, it wasn't great. You got his numbers there?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, go for it. What
he did last year at 179 innings, which is good. But here's the other thing. He had 11 wins, 194 Ks, and 3.91 ERA with a 1.23 whip. Now, I mean, they're not like blow your socks off, kind of knock your socks off kind of numbers, but they're serviceable. And it's not like he's going to a worse pitching park either, going to San Diego. So, it's kind of like parallel, except for the fact that he has a better team and more chances at wins. I don't see much of you're going to see like a lower ERA or whip. Actually, I'm really just not a fan of the guy in total in terms of fantasy wise. So he may get a bump for being on San Diego because of the win capability, but ultimately, I'm not rushing to go get the guy either. It's not like Joe Musgrove like last year when he went to San Diego. He's not really like an enticing thing. He's someone nice that you can kind of grab in the later rounds, depending on who's high on him in your league, know your league. But I'm just not too excited about the trade. Okay. I'm not touching him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not fully agreeing with Matt on that one, but I do understand where you're coming from. I think he moves up a little bit here. I like the strikeout upside. He had almost 20 more strikeouts innings pitched last year, which is always helpful. And once again, we don't always love to get in the crazy stats here, but I am going to bring up FIP, which is fielded independent pitching. We've talked about it here and there. It basically means how good is the pitcher with average fielders behind him and not guys making errors. He had a 3.66 FIP, which is, it's an ERA indicator as well. So it kind of bolds in the sense of ERA. And he had a 3.71 the year before, a 3.42 the year before. That's FIP. And I think he could be around there. So if you get a guy with a 3.5 ERA on that good San Diego team, maybe win 15 games, big strikeouts, and the 1-2 whip I think is almost a guarantee. I don't see the whip getting much better than that. So the whip's going to be a little high. So I still think there's a chance for Manaea to have some upside this year. Moving on though, now it's time to do no fun news with all of the the injuries breaking. We're gonna start with the big two, Max Scherzer and Jacob deGrom going down. for the Mets, it's never fun, guys. Even as Matt and I are both Yankee fans, it's not fun to talk about this because we're talking about fantasy baseball, and you never want to see any of the best players get hurt, and it's tough for managers and owners. That's why we're here. We're help talking waiver wire and stuff like that. Scherzer, I know it was the hamstring. He was scratched from his start, which I believe was yesterday, 2 days ago. I don't think he's going to be ready for opening day. I heard that they're going to try and do a bullpen day that day because Bassett he just pitched today. He pitched all right. I actually did watch the game for a little bit. I think he gave up 4 runs in 5 innings. He had like 6 strikeouts. He looked okay. I mean, he didn't look great, but he didn't look horrible either. But for Scherzer, like I said, he does well. They're not looking well. As for DeGrom now, DeGrom's looking even worse. Matt, you want to take the lead on DeGrom here?
Yeah, so it's not a great injury. So I'm actually reading something from yesterday.
Yeah, go ahead.
Jacob deGrom injury. Mets ace diagnosed with a stress reaction in the scapula. Expected to miss significant time. So that is devastating for anybody that has him.
He's shut down for at least the next 4 weeks. So he's not throwing. He's not going to even throw a baseball for the next 4 weeks.
And I'm going to tell you right now, it's probably going to be 2 months.
At least minimum.
And then you're talking about even with no setbacks, which I don't foresee happening. Like, this is just something that DeGrom's been like for the last couple of years. It's still going to take him 4 weeks if everything goes right after the 2 months for him to get back, which means he's not pitching till, June. And that's it. And that's with no setbacks. I'm not really thrilled about this. If you haven't drafted yet, you're probably happy because you're not getting screwed. But he is a worth shot down the line. Like, you can scoop him up later. I'd take him in the top 100 picks if I haven't drafted. I'd take him at the end there because then there's a value on him, and I just hold him on my IL. But if I have drafted, I'm in this position. Have a beer.
Yeah.
Have a beer.
Yeah, it's tough with DeGrom right now. I think Scherzer has a better chance of coming back and bouncing back. It doesn't look too serious. It looked, but DeGrom, well, we'll see with Scherzer. The thing is, right now is they haven't announced nothing of that he's stopped from throwing or anything like that. I think it's a wait and see with him.
So the fact that don't mean to cut you off, but the fact that he's opening day start is not a good sign because we talked about this yesterday when I got the news. You're like, oh, it'll be. I don't think it's gonna be that bad.
Yeah, I'll give you credit on that. You did call that.
Today we wake up and it's he's gonna miss opening day. It's a soft tissue issue with an older guy that has 1,000,000 miles on him. He has more miles than a trucker, and it's one of those things where what. I don't think the shoe is going to drop, but I do think. So,
Matt, do you feel the same way? I know you were just saying that you're going to wait until like 100 for DeGrom and you stash him on the IL. Do you feel the same way about Scherzer?
Oh, absolutely. I actually, I dropped. Okay. I'd probably if Scherzer misses a month, I think that's the max we're getting. So I draft Scherzer probably as like my number 2 pitcher.
Damn.
Because I'll take a month. I can. If baseball's a long season, so. I'd take a month hit, and it's like drafting Ronald Acuna. I'll take him and get him in May, and then I have him for the rest of the season. Like DeGrom, he's going to miss half the season. That's a big difference. But I'm still willing to get him because of the talent within the top 100, probably around like pick 80, 90, 100, like around that ballpark. But Scherzer, I got nothing unless I hear, oh my God, like it turned into a full blown strain, and we're having problems.
Yeah, see, I think my take is similar to yours. I'm definitely moving both of them down out of my top 10 starting pitchers, but I think they're more around 15 for me. I think DeGrom's actually going to go further down because he's not touching a ball for 4 weeks. So I think I'm agreeing with Matt on DeGrom. He's closer to 100. Stash him on your IL if you haven't drafted yet. If you have, you know what? Listen to the end of the episode. We're going to get into a little waiver wire talk, post draft stuff, and listen there. We'll talk Jacob deGrom replacements and things like that. But I'm still a little bit higher on Scherzer. I'm not pushing Scherzer that far down. I push Scherzer around 15, and I don't want him as my ace. I'll tell you that. If I haven't drafted yet, I don't want him as my number one. I would love him as my number two. I think he's a great number two. So if you take Corbin Burns or somebody like that, Walker Buehler or somebody else like that higher, and then maybe you go power bat, and then you could, if you're feeling frisky, you could, you like Scherzer's outlook, you take Scherzer. But once I'm still probably not doing that, but I'm just not going to count him out yet until we get some crushing Jacob deGrom type news on him. Mm-hmm. The next guy that we were going to cover here is let's do Chris Sale. Chris Sale, news looks a little bit better, but once again, it's not bad. The rib cage troubles for him it happened back on February 27th. They did take an MRI, and it says the bone is healing. Everything is looking up with him, but there's still no timetable for him to pick up a baseball. Another guy who kind of, we were hoping big things from this year, big Chris Sale bounce back. It doesn't really look like it's going to happen anytime soon. Another guy that I'm just probably fading. If you haven't drafted yet, I'm kind of just fading him here. Unlike DeGrom or Scherzer, we haven't seen Chris Sale do it in a little while, so I'm kind of I know he pitched a little bit last year, but it wasn't Chris Sale. So I feel like there's just going to be better options in your draft later on. Maybe as one of your last couple picks, you could stash him on the IL and hope for the best. But that's wishful thinking. I think it didn't work out last year with guys like this, like Luis Severino last year, Noah Syndergaard last year. There was just a lot of guys that we really hoped were going to, cross two fingers and throw them on the IL, but it really didn't work out. So this year, I kind of, in my drafts personally, I took a different approach, kind of went with a little bit more security. I kind of wanted to take guys that were a little bit, going to be healthier. So with Sale here, with no timetable on him throwing, I kind of just think it's a fade. Matt, thoughts on Sale?
I mean, you kind of nailed it. I actually don't think he pitches until June. So
yeah.
The reason being is I don't foresee. So here's the deal. If anybody's ever broken their ribs, they know exactly who he's going through. It hurts to breathe. So imagine trying to move your body to throw a baseball 100 miles per hour. So it's not pleasant. So imagine that with a 32-year-old man who has a lot of miles as well. I think that it's going to be at least a month that before he's actually even throwing on a throwing program, and then probably a bunch of rehab starts. So like June, first week of June is what I'm thinking. So again, like pick 150, end of your draft. If you know your room and somebody's about to reach, scoop. And here's the other thing. Wait 2 weeks. Wait for them to get frustrated and get hit with a bunch of injuries, because it's going to happen. We still have the injury bug, and then trade for him. That's the other strategy.
Or even if he gets dropped, I could see, if injuries start to build up. Some leagues don't have deep deep ILs. So if your leagues don't have the deep ILs, and the IL was moved back to 10 days this year. So I could see the IL being plugged up, just, it went from 14 to 10 days. So instead of it being 2 weeks, it's only, I miss a start. So it's one start, and it turns from one start to two, or from two starts to one rather. Sorry. I just think I'm fading him. That's it. To move on to the next guy here, another one that's devastating is Lancelin of the Chicago White Sox, another guy who was going high. He banged up the same knee that he hurt at the end of last year. And literally at the headline here, Lancelin injury is incredibly frightening for White Sox. So it just doesn't look good. They don't really know what's going on here. He's going to be reevaluated sometime over the next few weeks. I don't think he pitches for the first week, at least. If things look better, maybe he comes back for week 2. I'm taking him over the guys we just mentioned. I'm taking him over DeGrom. I'm taking him over Scherzer. I'm taking him over Sale. But he's another guy who just moves down. Just move him down your list. I just told you my personal philosophy is, if you haven't drafted, I'm fading all the injured guys, and I'm just going for healthy bodies. And then if there's a guy who's like one of these guys who's there at the end of your draft, one of your last few picks, and you want to stash, take one of them. But there's no way you take more than one of these guys. The next few guys that we name off, if you have more than one of these guys on your team, probably looking to trade them, stash them on your IL, and it's not a good situation right now. And like I said, we're doing waiver wire at the end. We're talking about pitcher replacements, so just stay tuned. Matt, thoughts on your boy Lancelin here?
So I have him and I drafted him yesterday. So not really thrilled about it, but the upside is he was supposed to get an MRI today, so we'll have some news tomorrow. It's inflammation in the knee, so it's not like, oh my God, it blew out and he crawled and then he had to be carted off. He limped off. So I could see him missing about a week. Opening day lineup. He was supposed to be opening day pitcher, which is Thursday. Yeah. So technically this would have been like almost a 2-start week anyway. So let's just call it what it is. They're gonna give him a break. He'll probably, if everything is good and you get ice that baby up, he's pitching next Friday. Worst case scenario, he's pitching May 1st.
I mean,
if he torn it, it would have been news like that. If it was something real serious, we would have heard about it by the end of the day yesterday.
Yeah. I think it happened during his start.
Yeah, he had to be. Yeah. So he finished it out. He got lit the hell up, and then essentially he was like, "Yo, I'm done." So he's just not. He wasn't in a good spot. He walked off. He walked himself off. But at the same time, it's one of those things where, it's same knee as last year, and he opted out of surgery and went for PT. So that's the other thing. But again, I think the White Sox would have made him get the surgery if it was in need. Also, too, something I didn't get to mention. I want to circle back to Chris Sale.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Actually, you know what? I'll save it for the end.
No, bring it up.
No, we're doing waiver wires, right?
Yeah, we're gonna do a waiver wire thing.
I got it. Never mind.
Perfect.
Never mind.
All right, so we'll just move on. Then moving on here, guys. We're gonna try and bang through the bad news here as fast as we can. Another starting pitcher, Luis Castillo.
Oh, wait! Breaking news.
What's up?
Out 4 weeks with a slight torn knee tendon.
Damn. So that's crazy. As we're talking about him, guys, this is live. As we're talking about him, the news breaks 4 weeks for Lancelin, guys. Now the outlook, I'd say, is totally changed. Under DeGrom, under Scherzer, fade him. Matt's upset, but the show must go on. Unfortunately, guys, I guess I wouldn't draft Lancelin at this point because it's the same knee as last year. That's what I was just saying. It's the same knee as last year. Matt just said he opted out for the surgery. Looks like he might need the surgery at this point. So looks like that's a wrap on Lancelin, unfortunately. But back to Luis Castillo. He's been battling shoulder soreness for the last few weeks, so just as probably even worse as Lancelin, fading Luis Castillo. All these guys are fades pretty much at this point. All these pitchers are fades because you don't want to hurt pitcher going into the year. You could get a healthy body. There's still a lot of guys I'm sure that are out there on waiver wires. Matt, Luis Castillo, fade, right?
I was fading him before the season, honestly, because he was hurt. He's been hurt, right? So
he's been hurt. He's been. There's no timetable for him to throwing. Yeah. He's been battling shoulder soreness for a while here, so that's another one that just sucks.
And honestly, too, like he had that 1 year, and it was great, but I really just don't foresee him being anything good. Like even if he was healthy, I don't think he was pulling it off this year. I think he's just like somebody was a hope, a song, and a prayer, and talent, and then he's washed up.
Fair enough. So we'll keep it pushing here, guys. This one, and just guys, this is just so hard to do because there's just a bunch of devastating injuries one after another. This one's Mike Clevenger, somebody who was formerly a very, very good pitcher, high-end pitcher for the Cleveland Indians, and it looks like he gave up 8 runs the other day. And after that start, I just said to myself, I moved him down in all my rankings before I was coming into this weekend. And it just looks bad. A knee injury here. He's going to start the season on the injured list. He's another guy, just the last pick at this point now. It's not somebody who I have high hopes for. It's not somebody who, if he came into the, spring training and was just dominating and he was showing longevity in these starts, would have been a different story. But, it just doesn't look good. He's 31 years old. Just Mike Clevenger, fade or last pick if you believe. Matt, Clevenger?
He's another one. I love him. It's depressing. So I'm gonna get a hospital bed ready for him next to Mondesi at this point, and it's just it is what it is with him. Sorry, I'm really taking this Lancelin news hard here,
Yeah, no, that's all right, brother. It sucks. We all know how it goes. Trust me. If the Tatis news would have broke while we were live, I would have probably broke down, started crying, broke out a bottle of Jack from the cabinet.
Yeah, but anyway, let me just be professional real quick.
Yeah, you got it, brother.
So with Clev, we don't know a timetable, correct? So
Yeah, it just happened, but they said he's going to start the year on the injured list.
so this isn't good. I'm gonna say, just don't even touch him with a 10-foot pole.
Fair enough. All right, we're switching over. This is going to be the last of the injury news, so it's a hitter now this time to make it a little different, I guess. This one is a little deeper guy. Alex Kirilloff, first baseman, outfielder for the Minnesota Twins. He's dealing with some knee soreness. He was removed from the game the other day. Doesn't have any structural damage. He's going to be reevaluated today. I don't think the news has broken yet, but it can give an opportunity to a couple of those young kids in the Twins lineup. He was somebody who I know Matt liked, a couple other people I know liked. At this point, I think he's just a drop, or if you haven't drafted yet, don't draft him. I don't even know if I'd stash him on my IL at this point because he's young. He could possibly just go back down to the minors and start a season there. I think there's a lot of other better options out there. Once again, I'm sorry, guys. We should have just called the segment Fades at this point because I'm fading Alex Kirilloff too. Matt, I know it's one of your boys. Do you have any more thoughts? Maybe you could provide some more insight than I could there.
He was one of those guys you're going to get at the end of the draft. And if you listen to me, it's just disappointing news. But at the same time, at least you didn't have to pay like a good value on him like Lancelin or any of the other guys like DeGrom and whatnot. So you know what? Just drop him, call it a day, put him on the watch list, and when he gets back up, you just pick him up. That's really it. So here's the other thing. So we just talked, since we're talking about injuries and we're all doom and gloom. There is a little bit of good news, and by a little bit, like it kind of like a little shine of light through the clouds, and that's Jack Flaherty at least. So Jack Flaherty has been starting some polymetric drills with his arm. So it's essentially the throwing motion with the shoulder. So this is a really good sign. The fact that they're going to be able to keep his arm moving, and he actually wasn't supposed to do anything for another week, which is great. And the fact that he's able to do all this tells me that, he's on track to not be opening day or probably even the second week, but I can probably see him getting in a rehab game in about 2 weeks, coming back in third week of April, and you got yourself a nice little starter. So if he's available, scoop him up. If you know somebody that has him and that really isn't too keen on news, scoop him up and go and trade somebody real low. And, if you drafted him like I did back, I let him go as a keeper and I picked him up at the end of the draft. Then you're feeling real good on your decision today. So, you know what? There's some good news at the end of this segment.
Yeah, I mean, we got some better news after Flaherty, but my thoughts on Flaherty too. I mean, it's still bad because it's a shoulder. I mean, it's definitely great to see that he's working it and moving it. And is he throwing? Did it say he's throwing at all?
Not allowed to throw for another week, but with the polymetric movements is full blown.
Okay, power
and shoulder movement. So
yeah. So he's not throwing yet, but with the fact that he's able to move it and stretch it, and if he's not feeling any soreness, that is great. I still think he fits the
he's a fade.
No, not a fade. I wouldn't say he's so much as a fade as I would have confidence with taking him in my last pick as some of these other guys I would not have confidence in taking with my last pick. So I think that is good news on Flaherty. I would stash him on my IL. I don't know if I'd go out and trade for him, but he's definitely a stash. I definitely think you throw him on the IL and you see what the news comes out next week. If he's allowed to throw or not, and go from there. But here's the good news, especially for all Yankee fans. Somebody that we thought was going to be hurt, but he is not hurt. That is Luis Severino, starting pitcher of the New York Yankees. Yesterday, he did pitch, and he pitched good. It was 4 innings. It was 57 pitches, 3 strikeouts, only gave up 1 hit, no runs, no walks. As a Yankee fan, I just couldn't be more relieved. As a fantasy baseball player, couldn't be more mad that I don't have any shares. But it's absolutely great news for fantasy owners who do have him. For Yankee fans, Luis Severino, I think he has a good chance to bounce back this year. I think he could be over a strikeout per inning. I think he could be in the 3.3 to 3.5 ERA. The whip is, I don't know. I mean, he looked great. The breaking ball, he had under control yesterday. Fastball looked sharp. He was throwing hard. So, I mean, with guys coming back from injuries, if you did listen to the starting pitcher episode, I always say guys coming back from Tommy John and injuries like that, control comes back later. Sometimes they can suppress the runs, but sometimes it's hard keeping the guys off base. So I'm not expecting a super low whip, but I think the ERA could be good. I think he can give you strikeouts, and he's definitely can give you wins in that Yankees lineup. Matt, thoughts on our boy Luis Severino? Healthy, great news.
So it's looking good. What I will say is, if you have him, you feel good about it. If you don't have him and you need pitching, he's probably somebody you could still get at a discount in a trade if you have somebody that you can kind of figure out an avenue to get in there for. And I would say go out and trade for him, because you probably don't have to pay all that much to get him. And, it's one of those things where I think he's a perfect trade target to enhance that pitching lineup, and just call it a day.
Yeah, I'm going to second what Matt said there, actually. He's a sneaky guy that if this will kind of lead into our waiver wire segment, in the sense of, if you got a hurt guy, a hurt DeGrom, a hurt Scherzer, a hurt Sale, go out and see what people are asking for Luis Severino, because I think things look good for him. I think signs are pointing up in the right direction for a guy like Luis Severino. All right, so let's get into our little waiver wire segment here, guys. So, after your draft, you're sitting around, maybe you don't like your team, maybe somebody we just mentioned got hurt. Go over to the waiver wire and start starring guys off immediately, and see when your waiver wire runs. Maybe you could pick guys up right now. Maybe there definitely are some league where waiver wires are open right away. Don't hesitate to go in there and make a move. Now, here's my thing: don't go out there and drop don't go out there and drop DeGrom. Don't go out there and drop Scherzer. Stash them. Put them on the IL. Unfortunately, if you don't have an IL, maybe you could consider it. But if you do, stash them. Otherwise. Get on the waivers. I know, Matt, you had somebody that you wanted to bring up when we were talking about Chris Sale, right? For the waiver wire segment. So if you wanna take off there.
So if anybody's a fan of Houck,
Tanner Houck.
Yes. So I actually had no clue he was making the lineup since he was on there, and I found out yesterday mid-draft, and I missed out on him because our league is pretty sharp. But I know that, the average person isn't keeping up with who, or even know who this guy is, but he actually has a lot of good stuff. And personally, the fact that he's in that rotation, he could probably earn it and keep it for the rest of the season, because I don't think there's too many people or obstacles in front of him. It's going to show he's got to do what he can do, and honestly probably hold on to that for the whole season. So I think he's somebody that's not only going to be, right now while Sale's hurt, but I also think he's going to be somebody that you're going to hold on to probably for the rest of the season and be one of those waiver wire gems. So, I strongly can say consider it, and not even throw the star on it. Number one waiver wire priority, in my opinion, for starting pitcher.
Okay. All right. So, guys, that's Tanner Houck of the Boston Red Sox. I'm going to read you off his numbers from last year, because he actually did a great job filling in for that Red Sox rotation, because they were a little banged up last year. The win-loss record wasn't great here, actually. He went 1-5. He had a 3.52 ERA. It was 13 starts. He came out of the pen for 5 games. So it was 18 games total. 69 innings, 87 strikeouts. So you like to see that. Only 21 walks, and it was a 1.13 whip. So he pitched very, very well last year. I think, like Matt said, Tanner Houck is somebody who's definitely a very high waiver priority if he wasn't drafted in your leagues, especially with the news of Chris Sale going down. Great Chris Sale replacement. I think he definitely has a lot of upside this year. I think you could see big strikeouts from him, and I think you see a pretty solid ERA and whip. So, definitely a little sneaky pickup there, Matt. I definitely like that one. So now, this is a guy I want to bring up. Somebody who's me and Matt and I are big on Yahoo. That's where we play most of our leagues. So I'm going to give you Yahoo ownership here. Guy who's only owned in 30% of Yahoo leagues at the moment, on one of the best teams in baseball. This is Tony Gonzalen of the Los Angeles Dodgers, somebody who was a late round pick in one of our drafts yesterday. And I was like, damn, I was like, that's somebody who I truly like. I was a little upset I didn't get him. Now, he was banged up last year, so he didn't have a great year, but I will read you his numbers. He went 4 wins, 1 loss, a 3.23 ERA, 15 games. That was 13 starts, so came out of the pen for 2, 55 innings, 65 strikeouts, 34 walks, which is a little bit high. I don't like to see that in 55 innings, and that led to the 1.34 whip. But that's not really who I think Tony Gonzalen is coming off the injury last year, right? I'm going to read you his full career before the 2 years previous, which is his full career before last year. He has a 6-4 record in that time. That was 6 wins, 4 losses. 2.60 ERA in 14 starts, 20 games. So he came out of the pen for 6. 86 innings, 83 Ks, and a 0.923 whip. So, I mean, that's great control across 86 innings and 14 starts. So I truly think he's somewhere in the middle of what he showed last year and the numbers that I just read off from the previous 2 years. And that's Tony Gonzalen on the Los Angeles Dodgers, the evil empire, the new evil empire, one of the best teams in baseball. So I just don't – I think he's somebody that you should go out there and roster, only 37% owned. Matt, thoughts on Tony G here?
Tony G is good. He saved me a little bit last year, and personally, I think that's a great call out. I think that you won't be upset, especially if you're in my position when you lost Lancelin. So
Lancelin replacement there,
Yes, sir. So at this point, I think you hit on all the things. We probably should just move on. Do you have another guy you want to talk about?
I could go on here, but if you want to move on, brother, we sure can.
So I'm just trying to grab one thing real quick. And
if you're pulling some up, I do have one guy current about real quick because I saw him right next to Tony Gonzalen. What's up?
Good. Please and thank you.
Okay, of course. Okay, so another guy. This is a guy I drafted yesterday, and I was looking through the ownership here, and and I was seeing 28% owned. I was like, damn, this is somebody who I drafted yesterday. That's Jesus Luzardo of the Miami Marlins. How is he, guys? We need to be better than this. He's only 28% owned on Yahoo. Has nobody seen what Jesus Luzardo is doing this spring? I know I called Matt last year after he got traded, and I put on Jesus Luzardo's first start when he got to Miami, and I noticed they gave them glasses, and I heard the announcers talking about it, and they were like, "Oh, Jesus Luzardo's got the glasses, and they said that he had something wrong with his eyes that that I guess Oakland didn't even know or see." So they threw the glasses on. He looked a little bit better. I know he wasn't super great when he went to Miami for the whole, but there was a bunch of starts where he really showed something. I know his last start was a double-digit strikeout game, and he looked really good, went 6 innings. But I'm going to read you off what Jesus Luzardo at 24 years old has done this spring training. It's 3 starts, 0.77 ERA, 11 innings, 10 strikeouts, only 3 walks, and a 102 whip. So now I know he was one of the high-end prospects coming into when he was coming into the league. He's only 24 years old. I think he deserves a second chance. I think you guys need to go out there and bump his ownership up. So next time I go look on Yahoo, it's not 28% anymore. Matt, I know you like Luzardo a little bit too. Any thoughts here?
Personally, I think Luzardo is probably going to have finally a season of note. I'm not saying he's going to be the incredible person that we're all hoping he's going to be, but I think that he's going to be serviceable this year and have some real flashes down the line. So what I'm doing is I'm drafting him in my later rounds because everybody's probably upset with him, and then I am capitalizing on him and sitting back and smiling every time I say his name and putting his name on the draft board. I think that he's going to probably have a higher ERA, but under a 4, so probably looking at like a 3.7 to 3.9.
Yeah.
With a boatload of Ks and probably not too many wins, but the whip will somewhat be higher too, probably like a 1.35. But you know what? When you're getting them at that late, and that's pretty great production for somebody you're probably going to get in like the last couple of rounds.
Yeah, guys, he's been, like we said, we're trying to help you guys replace some of these, starting pitchers. If you lost a Clev, if you lost Grom, Scherzer, any of these guys that we mentioned earlier in the podcast here. Jesus Luzardo is somebody who, who could be serviceable until either one of those guys comes back, or you find somebody else who, becomes known on the waiver wires. So, make sure you're listening to us because we're always going to be up. We're going to, anytime someone gets called up or, there's any news like that, we're going to be here breaking it for you. So make sure tuned into the MDs. Matt, so where did you want to go next here, brother?
So I'm still having trouble pulling him up, his information, but I'm just keep everybody up with who I'm looking into, and that's Matt Manning. So Matt Manning.
Oh yeah, Detroit Tigers.
Yeah, Matt Manning's having one of my favorite guys. Probably one of my favorite prospects, truthfully, in terms of pitching. So he didn't have such a bad spring. So let me read it off. It's a little bit high on the ERA side. It's a 4.5, 8 innings pitched, and he has 8 strikeouts and a 1.5 WHIP, which is pretty high. But I think he has a lot of upside, especially pitching in Detroit's park, which is absolutely ginormous. And the team is a lot better around him. I'm not saying he's going to go get, 15, 20 wins, but he could probably get you about 8 or 9. He's coming at like pretty much your last pick of the draft. And the fact that he's going to have a rotation spot last time I checked is pretty key. And I think the kid has a lot of upside and possibly could even, be like somewhat of like a Casey Mize at some point and be that real gem for you at the end of the year. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. I don't even know if I told you this, but last year coming into the season, I bought an autographed Matt Manning rookie card. So after the season, that thing went down in value. So I mean, once again, I'm like Matt. I was super high on Matt Manning, in the minors, especially like 2018, 2019. I'll read you off a couple of those years. In 2018, he went 7 wins, 8 losses, a 3.29 ERA, 22 starts, 117 innings, 154 Ks, and a 1.19 WHIP. And then the next year, 2019, he was even better. 11 wins, 5 losses, a 2.56 ERA, 24 starts, 133 innings, 144 Ks, and a 0.90 WHIP. That's Matt Manning of the Detroit Tigers. Somebody who could be in that Corbin Burns mold where, maybe he works on something, maybe he finds a new pitch, maybe he drops a pitch in the Blake Snell sense. Blake Snell lost that changeup and, transformed. I think that's what we need to see from Matt Manning. I don't think we've seen it yet because the spring training hasn't indicated that, but I think there's going to be a breakthrough here at some point. The kid's only 24 years old. Going to be 24 this year. So I think there's a lot of upside. I think in a deeper league, if you're in a 12-man competitive league with deep benches, and you got one of these banged up pitchers, and a couple of last guys we named aren't available, yeah, you take Matt Manning when you put DeGrom on the IL or Scherzer, whoever else, and you have him as your last guy and you see how it goes. Maybe he works with Mize or, Eduardo Rodriguez or somebody else there that's in Detroit, and, if they figure out what he needs to do to take it to the next level. But like Matt said, I think there's a ton of upside with the kid. I love Matt Manning. I think that's a good call, Matt. I like that call out there. So we don't have we don't have a crazy amount of time here left, Matt. One thing I do want to do, since it was a crazy draft weekend and everyone's pretty much got their draft in the books, Matt, I want to give me one guy that you drafted a lot this weekend or in all of your leagues, that you think is going to just have a monster breakout year. Maybe somebody we haven't covered too much. Like I said, that maybe the fans haven't heard of, that you just think is gonna have a monster year. And if you don't, I don't really have anybody either, and I know I'm putting you on the spot here, but if there's anyone you can think of off the top of your head, and I actually do have one, if you don't.
I do. So
go ahead.
So Dom's going to hate me because he doesn't like either one of these guys, but I'm choosing the one I drafted yesterday, and that's Cal Quantrill.
Oh, okay.
All right. Cal has a lot of potential. He shows that he has, good speed on his arm, and he has a lot of good stuff. So based off of what he did last year in 149 innings, he's a little bit lighter on the Ks per 9, so it's a little bit under. So he had pitched 149 innings at 121 Ks, but he had a 2.89 ERA and a 118 WHIP with 8 wins on that terrible Cleveland Indians team. I'm not saying their real name anymore. So, but what I will say is the upside is there to take a step forward and regress positively. And what the outlook for him is, I think that he can get AK per 9. And I think that, the best comp I can give for him is kind of like a Mike Soroka. he pitches, that same, great pitch mix. I'm going to outsmart the player. I'm not trying to blow batters out of the park and kind of blow my stuff past them. His stuff is all good, has great movement, and he's just going to beat them up and get them down, and then make people miss when they're not expecting it. And then the other side is too, it's that same kind of movement. So like if it wasn't for the fact that Soroka's Achilles exploded, I think he'd be somebody we'd be talking about.
I wish we could talk about Soroka.
I know it's so painful because he's one of my favorite guys. But I think that Cal has that upside to be Soroka, what that upside was coming into last year before that exploded. And, where he can get that K per 9 and go pretty deep into games and be a reliable source of Ks and wins and an ERA and be an every week contributor. So that's just my outlook on the guy.
Yeah, see, man, this is where you're losing me, my brother. I think you picked the wrong Cleveland Guardian. I thought maybe we got a Tristan McKenzie call out. So I
that's my other guy, though. That's the other guy.
I thought we were gonna go Tristan McKenzie here. We were gonna agree. We were gonna high five. We were gonna say, "Hey, all right, we'll see you guys next week." But now I gotta do my anti Cal Quantrill rant a little bit here. Now, my thing is yes, he had the last 2 years look pretty good for him, right? Now, my thing is, if you go to his whole minor league career and, end the 2019, it just doesn't look good to me. He, it's a bunch of bad ERAs and he doesn't really strike anybody out. The whip's always been kind of high. Once again, guys, I mean, I guess we're going to bring up FIP a little bit every now and then, but his FIP has never been good, which indicates to me that it might be more smoke and mirrors. But I will say this. If you look at his career so far in the bigs, let's just talk about that, right? So it actually looks pretty good. It's 16 wins, 11 losses, 3.64 ERA, 284 innings, 241 strikeouts with a 1.22 whip. Now, if that's what he does and you got him as your last pick of the draft, I think that's fine. So I'm not complaining in that sense. But I don't see a lot of upside. I think his upside is maybe a Kyle Hendricks light, like a guy who's not going to strike out too many guys, but a decent ERA and a decent whip. If he's the last pitcher on your team, I don't think you're mad at it. All right, I want to move on to one of my guys here. Unless you got any more Cal Quantrill thoughts you want to throw at me.
I just think you're underestimating him just a smidge. And what I will say is this, Dom, and everybody here is going to be listening. So I think by the end of April, Dom is going to be singing a different tune and you're going to be forgetting all about this conversation.
All right. I mean, once again, I think we should have went Tristan McKenzie there because I think Tristan. Yeah, I love he's Tristan. Gonna have huge upside. Upside.
The problem with Tristan McKenzie is he's going too high. So
okay, I feel that.
You talk about somebody I've been drafting all week, and I got to give these guys somebody to take a shot on.
Yeah,
you're going to take a shot on Cal because you're going to take a shot on Tristan McKenzie because I'd much rather draft other guys that are going around Tristan than there is Cal Quantrill. And honestly, the upside on Cal is a lot better than Tristan for the value aspect of it.
Yeah, I think Matt's right in the sense of value. If you get him as your last pitcher, it's definitely some value. Or if you're in a deep league and you do need a pitching replacement here, I think we just ran off a bunch of great names for all of you guys. And Cal Quantrill could be one of them. Once again, Matt and I, we're best buds here, but we're not going to agree on everything. But I think Cal Quantrill, like I said, if he gives you that baseline when he's done in the last 284 innings of which is his whole career, that's fine. That's perfectly great. A 3.64 with a 1.22, is perfectly fine.
I'm happy with that as my last pitcher.
And I fully back that. I'm going to give you my last guy here, before we sign off. Somebody who does go super late in drafts. I was drafting him high because, I'm a Yankee fan. He's no longer a Yankee. We're talking Luke Voight, first baseman / DH of San Diego Padres. So I don't know if everyone's been keeping up with trade talks, but the Mets are looking to move on from Eric Hosmer. The Mets were trying to trade for Eric Hosmer. The Padres are looking to move on from him, which is great news for Luke Voight. So that means if they get rid of him, he's going to play first and DH. I think the sky is the limit. Last I checked, he was coming off the board as the 174th pick. I did a draft today. I picked him today. I picked him yesterday. My thing with Luke is I think last year he was just banged up. I'll read you his career stats. And this is including the bad last year. It's 267 batting average, And on 162 games, it would be 34 bombs, 94 RBIs, and 86 runs. So I truly think that, you could get a guy here that could hit 30 bombs. A first base is a crappy position. And he's going to hit I think he's going to give you a plus average, plus ribbies, especially when Tatis gets back. Come on. I think the sky is the limit for him. Matt, thoughts on Luke Voight?
I mean, Luke Voigt's going to be incredible.
Yeah.
As long as he stays healthy, that's the only thing you always got to be concerned. But you're going to get him at a value. So I think that personally, you just take him with confidence. And if he doesn't pan out, he doesn't pan out. But I mean, I'm going to say if you're using him as your first base, you probably have a lot of better options at other positions. So first base, you kind of just took a whiff on, or he's your utility. And that's a great utility because at least he's your UT. So that whatever, if he gets hurt, you move on. But I mean, either way, you can't lose out with him.
Yeah,
you should just go take a shot.
Yeah, I think at a bad position, I think you could do a lot worse than Luke Voigt, even if you do got him starting. I think if he's a utility or a bench player for you, you did very well, especially if you got him earlier in the season as one of your last picks when he was still with the Yankees. And we're gonna give you one more guy here, one more New York Yankee, just to throw in that New York state of mind here. We're gonna talk nasty Nestor Cortez of
Super
the New
nasty.
York Yankees. Yeah, so nasty with that beautiful mustache of his. I gotta go to a game this year where he pitches because I didn't get to see him last year. I'm just gonna read you off his numbers from last year. Nasty Nestor. He went 2 wins, 3 losses, but a 2.90 ERA. That's of course 14 starts, but it was 22 games total, 93 innings, 103 strikeouts, only 25 walks. So I want to highlight that because the control is very good. Nasty Nestor got the pinpoint control, and it was a 107 whip. So that's somebody who's, Yankees are a little banged up, as starting pitching. We can never always trust everybody. I think he's got the 5th spot coming into the year. So I think there's a lot of upside. He's only 27 years old. So I think we might have found something here with Nasty Nestor. I think a great one of my favorites. I'm going to go out and say this. Matt said Tanner Houck is his number 1. I don't know if Nasty Nestor is my number 1, but I think he's top 3. And especially in deeper leagues, you could do a lot worse if everyone forgot about him, man. I say you go put him on your waiver wire and you laugh over the next couple of weeks while Nasty Nestor's out there dominating, man. I think that's a good call. I love Nasty Nestor. Go ahead. You can rant about him.
I shot him in the DMs real quick.
I know. Matt gets the credit for that, guys. Matt totally I know I started the rant, but Matt, you get all the credit in the world for that one. I love that one. Beautiful. Well done, my brother.
Yeah. Mr. Nasty is going to be nasty for you. I don't know if he's getting drafted. I mean, to be honest, in every mock and every league that I've been in, he's forgotten about, except when I do do an actual draft with my New York friends.
Then we got the Sharks in our league, man. Everyone is really good in our league. There's a lot of great picks.
Plus, you're in a room with a bunch of Yankee fans, so it's just one of those things where everybody knows knows all the Yankee fans, even everybody that's going to come up in 6 years from now, because that's just how we are. But when I drafted my friends out here in Philly, it actually nobody knows who he is. Like, yeah, who is that? Like, he sucks. I go check that, fact check that one, and see what it is. Because I think you're going to have a little label at the bottom saying you were wrong. So. Yeah. Essentially, with the value of pretty much free 99, you're gonna just sit back, enjoy that late round pick, and you're gonna thank me later. So I don't even need to do any more since Dom talked about it, but I do want to sign off with this. Good luck coming into the season. Good luck if you haven't drafted yet, and listen here for Thursday. For opening day, it's going to be exciting, and I'm looking forward to continue this journey with everybody. And provide you with some fantasy advice to get them ships this year. So, deuces.
Yeah, guys. We'll see you on Thursday. Thank you for being here, guys. And feel free to any questions about your draft or you want to know how you did. We'll give you guys a grade 1 out of 10. We'll let you know how we thought you did. Any ways you can improve your teams. Feel free, guys. Email us. We're on Instagram. Everywhere you can find us. And like Matt said, good luck and thank you for listening. We'll catch you guys Thursday. So see you.